Cripper. Patrick Cripps, the skipper. 20 matches in the season of 2021. 23.4 disposals a game. This is an interesting one because I actually think now that the fire of the week to week of the season and the pressure of the expectations and the disappointment is gone, when I take a bit of a step back, his season wasn't bad. It wasn't his best, but it was definitely a step forward from 2020 when I look at his 2020 season. Obviously, a season where it's disappointment and it's not turmoil, but we've lost a coach, so the regime is not working. We've made changes, and I remember, I guess, where my perspective has taken a bit of a turn is I was listening to Jacob Wiedering talk at one of these Carlton, the young professionals Zoom calls, and he was talking about the leadership that Doc and Cripper have taken on and how it takes its toll, and I think that is exactly how I see it. Like, it just looks like it's taken its toll. He's under a lot of pressure. The season started off with this mystery back injury. Was it a fractured back? There were reports of him getting injections. Teague said that he wasn't, and then he said he was. Like, there was just this cloud of uncertainty, and it's a really hard one to gauge because once a player goes out there, they're deemed fit. They all say it. Now, we know that this game is brutal. I know that this game is just, it's taxing on the body, especially when you're a player like Cripps who plays a bruising inside game. And I thought he started pretty well. 28 possessions in the first game. Not so good against Collingwood. Then he had 34 and a couple of goals against Freo. And I'm thinking, here he is. He's back. And then I think I don't know. Was it just an injury-interrupted year? He just didn't seem to have the same spark. And is that him being worn down? Is that being captain of the big Carlton Football Club? I don't know what it is. Obviously, we had the contract speculation at the start of the year. We didn't know, was he staying, was he going? I felt like he was always staying, but didn't understand why it took so long. TPP agreements and whatever it was. I guess I have probably more questions than answers about his year this year. But one thing you can never, ever, ever take away from him is he wants to be out there. And as much as we, and me included, want to complain about, if he's playing injured, then don't play. Well, I think he takes pride in playing for the club, even if he's hurt. And he keeps that message clear in all of the press conferences and the interviews that he does. And I love him. Let's make no mistake about that. We all love Cripps. And I think also maybe because there's others around him that have really started to elevate. You got Harry, you got Walsh, you got Wiedering. Are we burdening Cripps with the expectation because only a few years ago it was really just him that was worthy of a conversation of, oh, look how good this player is? And is it maybe just the evening out of the team now that makes me or us feel like he isn't playing good footy? Because I think he is playing good footy, but there is like an intangible that I notice with him when it comes to those crunch time moments. And for me, I automatically look at the captains, when they're both out there, when things are under pressure. At the time of filming this, talking about finals footy, I'm thinking ahead. When it comes to finals football and pressure situations and needing a lift, I'm looking at Cripps, I'm looking at Doc, because if it's not them that are going to be able to provide that lift, then who is it going to be? And I think when I think about it like that, is it unfair? It might be unfair, but what else do you expect from your leaders, And I think he's just developing through that as well. I think he's going through it. I think he's doing a good job of it. It must be tough. It must be tough on him to have to front up at this club. And I think the sad reality for us as fans is we probably don't really see the impact he has on the group because all we watch is the games and we don't really get to see what happens day to day. And there's no doubt he is the spirit of the group. I think for me, what I want to see moving forward is, okay, we've got this situation where he's got another star midfielder. He's got an All-Australian midfielder next to him. The Cripps help is here. He's literally right here. There's no, we need to get help for Cripps. And then I think for him, the best games that I saw him play this year, personally, were, I think, the Melbourne game, the Hawthorn game, the Gold Coast game. For me, they were the best games that he played for the year, and it was because of the way he hunted. And there were moments this year where, and I don't know if this was due to him being sore or just not engaged, but there were moments this year where, I've come to watch, we've all been watching him since he was drafted, and how he made his name with these Jack Silvani type second, third, fourth efforts. And I noticed a few times this year where there would be a scrimmage, he would be around the ball, it might not go his way, and then there would just be like a stop in his body language where he wouldn't force himself to that next contest just to impact it. And is that him being in his head? Is that him being sore? Is that him not being empowered? I'm not really sure. That's really the reality of what I'm trying to say. I'm not really sure how to look at it, how to judge it. I know that we need him at his best. And if he's at his best and we've got Harry, Walshy and Wiedering, we're a good side. We are a really good side. So I back him in. I think we all do. We back him in to get back to his best and whatnot. I think for me, it's the great players do the basics right. I think at times he tried to do a little bit too much and take on 2 or 3 defenders before releasing a handball or things like that. And, he's a star and we've built him up to be this icon, and maybe, I don't know if this is even valid, but maybe he's thinking he needs to do more than what he is and to prove himself. I'm not sure, but I want him to get back to the basics, the handball game. His ability to bring teammates into the game with his handball is what stood out for me at the start. Having said all of that, there were quite a few times where he did the team thing this year and being there for Sam Walsh, blocking for Sam Walsh, and just being a presence that needs to be thought about while Sam Walsh is there, I think is another thing that doesn't go noticed by many people, but I'm definitely noticing it. So, look, it was a challenging year. It was a challenging year for him as a player, as a leader, but that's what it's all about. It's all about being challenged and how you respond. And I back in him, his work ethic, his love for the club, and his pride in his performance to get it right and learn. I'm not necessarily in the camp of strip him of captaincy and just give it to Jacob Wiedering, because I think we're just doing the same thing over and over again. Cripps at his tackling best is the Cripps that I want to see, where he's really hunting opponents. And I don't know, is he a little too nice on the field? I think Luke Power came on, when he came onto the channel, we did that interview. He spoke about some of the players, who you are off the field doesn't necessarily have to be who you are on the field. I'd like to see Cripps get a little bit more mean on the field. And really create a fear. Like, he is the most bruising midfielder in the game for me when he's at his best. You need to fear him because he's bigger than everyone, he's stronger than everyone, and I hope he gets his body right. Touch wood, want to see him fully healthy. And for me, when he's at his best, he's in the All-Australian team. That's what I've come to see and expect. And he's 26. He's in that hotspot of his career. This is the prime of him, and I refuse to believe that this is the end of him and he's on the decline, because he works too hard and he's too good of a player for me. Now, what is the injury? Is it a shoulder? Is it a back? Is it general soreness? I don't know, but also with the coach, it's got to be someone that can really get the best out of him and empower him. So that's another factor as well. At the time of filming, there is no coach, so whoever it is going to be has got some work to do, and he's got to make sure that they can get the best out of Cripps and empower him to be his best version of himself. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Cripps' season. Always love him, always have, always will, but want a little bit more from him and want him to grow and become a better version of what he is and what he has been, because I think it's still there. So let me know what you think in the comments and we'll go from there.